Welcome. I'm Paul Cowling with Film Independent. Today, it's all about a case study of one of my favorite movies from last year. We're joined by the filmmaking team behind the film See You Yesterday. With us, we have director and co-writer Stefon Bristol. Stefon, welcome.
Hello, hello.
How you doing?
I'm well. I'm very blessed. You know, I live in Brooklyn, New York, so the pandemic out here is crazy, and I'm praying for everybody, but I'm doing all right.
Good. And with us too is his co-writer, Fredrica Bailey. Fredrica, welcome.
Hello. Hello. Thank you for having me. So excited to be here with you guys.
Great to have you both. Your film, See You Yesterday, is currently playing on Netflix. It won the Best First Screenplay at the 2020 Film Independent Spirit Awards. It was also nominated for Best First Feature. So congratulations on being Spirit Award winners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll ask you a little bit about the awards later on, but before we start, why don't you just give us your kind of log line, elevator pitch of the movie?
Stefon?
I was trying to get the writer to do it. See You Yesterday is it's about two teenagers from Brooklyn, New York, who invented a time travel to save one of their brothers from being wrongfully killed by a police officer.
Well, take us back to the beginning. I'm a sucker for a great time travel movie, and this is a great one. I love the sort of political twist, and I like how you folded that into the story without it being too political. You know, it was the thing that drove the reason to try and travel, but the film didn't, weigh too heavily on it. So talk a little bit how it started. I know you started writing this as a feature before you started writing it as a short, right?
Yes. Yeah. So when I was at NYU, I was tired of, this whole, what kind of films you should make, this art house films and whatnot. But I came into the school, want to be like an action adventure filmmaker. I had some good products that I made in film school that was good, and others that were not great. But I said, you know what, I'm gonna make the movie that I want to make. I really don't give a damn about what anybody thinks. So I came up, I know in my mind, I knew I wanted to have black kids and this sci-fi element. I don't know what it would be, but it's gonna be that. However, it was during the summer, two significant things happened. First significant thing is one of my family members was an alcoholic, and I was depressed by that. I was going through something personal with that. So I just, to help me cope with that, I was watching Back to the Future on repeat. So I just put two ideas together. Young teen, go back in time to stop his drunken father or grandfather from killing his best friend through drunk driving. But another thing that happened during that summer is when Eric Gardner got murdered by the police officer in Staten Island. And I also remember about Mike Brown the previous summer, and the Trayvon Martin trial is also there. So even though I was writing a completely different story, a scene of police brutality was bled into my script. And it was a feature script. So when a professor of mine saw the draft, because I was very excited about the idea, she showed the draft. She said, Stefon, you have a scene of police brutality in the script. It's very distracting. There's either one or two things you could do. One, you can either take it out because it's very distracting, or two, let that be the story, especially with what's happening in our climate today in the United States. I was like, yo, that's genius. So I said, I want to go with that. And so I did that, and I went to my professors at NYU saying, and it was a March. This time I had a script. It was March. I said to my professors.
Which year is this?
That's a good question. 2015.
Okay.
Yes, 2014 or 2015. I think it was 2015. I can't remember, but it was one of that. Went to them and said, yo, I have a script. Tell me what you think. It was in March. I said, this is my feature script. I'm going to shoot it in June. Everybody, no, right. Everybody said I was delusional. I was like, ooh, okay. But they say, look, you don't have any other short films to showcase your work to financiers for you to make a feature. So it behooves you to make a very strong short, let that be your thesis, and take that short and use it to make a feature. I was like, oh, okay, all right, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I said, fine, you know, I don't have a chance. But I'm glad I'm glad they told me that because, you know, long story short, through that short, I get to learn a lot more of what it means to be a director and a lot more how to work with actors. And especially, I learned my weakness as a writer. And my weakness is I need a co-writer. And, you know, fast forward, I'll talk about how I got Fredrica. But I want to, you know, share some interesting experience where I started doing the short. I had two close friends of mine of that time who are my producers because they worked with me before as my producers. And I got them on board to produce the film. And a lot of problems happened with those producers. I mean, you know, there was a lot of issues between us. We couldn't find the financing. I felt like I was doing most of the work and it was getting close to like I was trying to graduate. But by the time, you know, I needed to shoot 2 weeks before production, I had to fire them and pull the plug of production. And it was hard. And unfortunately today, I'm no longer talking to them brothers. And I cried for a week. But I believed in the project. I had to go back to my mom, ask her for some money and to pay rent. And my mother, to help me, you know, keep going with the project, she refinanced her home.
Wow.
She put up, you know, thousands of dollars for the project to get here. You know, here's 2 months rent. Here's some ducats for you to save on to do that. So that gave me the strength to move forward. But I believe in the project. So look, my mom believed in the project. I believe in the project. But my writings, you know, having the production failed, I said, great. Now I could focus more on the writing because the writing needed a lot of work too. But I knew I need help. I knew I couldn't do it on my own. So I went to the chair of the NYU graduate writing department and asked him, you know, have this project. Is there any of your students that matches the criteria to help me out with this? He gave me a short list. And, you know, Fredrica was on that list. And I read everyone's script and I interviewed everybody thoroughly.
Yes, it was a scary interview. Had me shaking.
I don't think I had her shaking, but I was very honest and I know who I needed. Fredrica was the only Black woman on the list. But on top of that, or I should say along with that, she was the best writer of everyone.
Aww.
And no lie. And I'm glad I got her because, you know, me and her would, you know, work together every weekend during the fall semester, just, you know, in the library in Brooklyn, just, you know, getting the script done. Mm-hmm. And Spike was able to, I gave it to Spike. I applied for his grant. He also introduced him with Fredrica. And I got the grant in January. And then by April, you know, when I have all the money and funds to finally got together, it was ready to roll.
So yeah, Fredrica, so you're now involved in writing a time travel to stop a police shooting script, and Stefon brings you in to sort of beef up the characters. What were you bringing to the project?
Well, I think he had like a draft of the short, but I think it was just about making sure that everything kind of gelled together.
It was a mess.
I was going to say gelled together. So it was beefing up the characters, but also making sure everything kind of, you know, like I said, gelled together. Because remember, when you're talking about time travel, then you're talking about a lot of cause and effect. So also plot-wise, how are we making sure things, you know, make sense, are somewhat logical, but then also that the time travel aspect doesn't overshadow the issue of police brutality, which was very important to both Stefon and I. So I think that's where I kind of came in and kind of helped to kind of, you know, massage it a little bit and breathe a little bit more into it, as far as just getting that aspect together, and, you know, making sure that CJ was reading well and Sebastian was reading well, and kind of establishing their relationship and kind of just helping to massage all of that stuff together. And so it's so funny because I was very excited, because I think one of the things I was hoping for before I met Stefon was, I was like, oh, it'd be great if I could meet a director who I, you know, really, you know, got along with and gelled with. And that way, you know, maybe I won't have to worry so much about directing on my own. If I can meet someone that gets me, maybe I could form, you know, a partnership, lifelong partnership, the way a lot of actors and directors do. And I had no idea that Stefon was around the corner. So I'm so glad that, you know, he came around, because little does he know, I was actually wishing for someone like him. So it was just the perfect fit when it kind of ended up coming together in that way. And then, like you said, the action adventure part that he loves to do, which is not necessarily the biggest genre of interest at NYU. It's definitely not like that at my dramatic writing department. So I feel like our genres connected, and I was the only one that kind of really liked that wheelhouse a lot, you know? And so it was just, I think it was meant to be in that way.
The short is super lean and stripped down. You chose not to really talk about the time, how they figured out the time travel at all. That's, you know, it's a given once it starts, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, because, you know, we only got those, 15 pages, and you're just trying to, like, get as much in as possible and really establish the characters. So I think that was why you didn't get to delve more into how they created the time travel aspect, which was one of the great things about the feature, because then you got to really expand that world and get to see a little bit more of that process and learn more about them and their backstory. So that was one of the good things that I loved about the feature. But yeah.
And then I just want to add, you know, we only have 15 minutes. That's one. That's all I could budget for. and two, once you have a short film out in the festivals ain't gonna, you know, the rule of thumb, festivals not gonna take a short film more than 15 minutes.
Yeah. You
know, which is unfortunate, which I personally find is ridiculous, because there's so many, you know, short films that's amazing. You know, a 30-minute short. Cal Adrian Scott has a beautiful short called Samaria, 30 minutes long. My Nephew Emmett by Kevin Wilson Jr. That's a very long movie for a short film, and it won a Student Academy Award. But I hardly heard anything about it in the festival circuit. I think it's ridiculous, but I kept it strategically down there because, you know, I want to make sure I have people's attention.
So before we get on to the feature, you shot the short after getting the grant from Spike Lee. That was enough money. And so how much did the short cost? The short,
let me remind the audience, as a filmmaker, as a student, you got liberties and you got free equipment. I won't say free, it's already be paid for, but you have access to equipment you don't have to rent, plus insurance, that's cost come down, and labor, it's free labor. So that's cost down as well. You know, I was blessed enough to get free location. I was blessed enough to get the actors to work for free. All that was a blessing. All that would have easily cost me over 80,000, maybe 100 for this film. Because of all my luck, it was 20 grand for the short film as a student. I got 5,000 from my mom, 15,000 from Spike Lee grant. The initial 5,000, but additional 10,000 once he saw the final cut, so he could help me, with the sound design and the music. 2 grand from a failed Kickstarter campaign. 3 grand from student loans.
Okay. So then you
I didn't mean to go all deep in that.
You shoot the short, and then you show it to Spike, right? Once you show him a rough cut.
I showed him the final cut because Spike was busy shooting She's Gotta Have It season 1 that time. And when he saw the rough cut, I was expecting him. If anybody knows Spike, I was expecting him to be, cussing me out on how terrible job I'm doing. But even if it's still a good job, he's always find a way to school you, which is fine. You know what I'm saying? Because I was a young filmmaker. in the game, and he wanted, make sure I was, doing things correctly. But to my surprise, he's like, yo, this is good. This is great. And, and giving me £5 to say, yeah, now you're a Morehouse man. And I was like, oh, shit. And once he saw the cut, he was like, yo, you need to do some reshoots, and you need to do some color and make sure the music is tight. I said, Spike, I ain't got no money. What you see is it. He was like, no. Send me a budget. I'll give you the rest. And I was like, wow. And then he also knew I was going to make this into a feature. So months later, a couple of nights before Christmas, he emails me saying, hey, I know you're making a feature, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I would love to be your producer. Think about it. Just think about it, motherfucker. Let's go. Like, think about it. And
do you want Spike Lee to produce your feature film?
Yes. Unheard of. And I knew, it wasn't like I take classes with Spike and he knows me. It was like I worked for him while, before I was in film school and while I was in film school. So I met him at Morehouse, got an internship, and I did some jobs with him when I was a student.
Okay. So let's go back to taking the short and making it into a feature. And now you have the liberty of, you've got now an extra hour and 15 minutes of screen time to add to this short. Fredrica, you can now get really deep into the sort of the complexities of time travel, and also kind of hint at like how I like that you give them there's a sort of they have a method here, but you don't explain it too much. Like so how do you get that balance right of the system they're using without it bogging the whole story down?
Yeah, well, I think like Stefon and I talked about it, and that was something that was really important for us, was that we did a little bit of research on our own, and, also Ed, our lead actress, is a science major, and so she, gave us input as well. But I think the goal was to kind of explain it enough so that it's understandable, so that it feels real, but then not so much so that the audience becomes so preoccupied with the rules of time travel that they're not able to focus on the issue of police brutality. Because we always felt like it was a story about police brutality, and that time travel was how we were entering that subject matter and telling that story. But we didn't want the time travel aspect to be something that took you away from that issue. So I think we both talked about making sure we didn't get too bogged down in rules and technicalities. And, oftentimes you don't need all that type of stuff, as long as your characters are seeming competent and they know what they're talking about, then the audience is willing to take the ride with you. And so I think that was something that we did a lot too, as far as, we did a little bit of research, a little bit about theories of time travel, even though of course time travel is not not true. But, there's some research out there, there's some theories and things like that. So when you use some of that, incorporated some of that lingo and vocabulary, but I think it was important that we, did just the right amount so that it didn't become something that overshadowed the rest of the film.
Plus time travel in movies is just, there's so many time travel movies that that's your setup, people accept it, right? You don't have to explain how they're doing it. Right,
it's not like a totally new concept, so yeah.
What's more important is all the sort of paradoxes of like seeing themselves or, because you can get into a lot of plot holes there, right?
Exactly. We wanted to avoid that too.
So did you talk about now that you're going to make this a feature, how did you get from Spike producing it to it being a go project? That offer from Spike to it being a go project with a start date.
It took, that's a good question, how long, about a year?
Okay.
Yeah, because we did we got notes from Spike a couple times.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Working on the script before we took it out.
Exactly.
it did probably take about a year of some rewrites, more than a few rewrites, before we were like, oh, okay, now we feel comfortable and ready to take it out.
And was he taking it to financiers? Were you in meetings with potential financiers?
Yes, we were. So when Spike came on, before we even took it out, as Fredrica said, we had to make, rewrites and when we both comfortable. He flew me out to LA. Fredrica was already out in LA by the time. But actually before he flew me out to LA, he set me down and said, Stefon, this is going to be a studio movie. I was like, what? That's unheard of. I was not expecting, this to be a studio. I was expecting to make this a very much a really independent film, use his name to raise the funds on my own. But Spike really put his foot in it. He flew me out often to LA, and we had several meetings with different production companies. And there were some companies that were great, companies that weren't. Got a lot of great notes. Mm-hmm. And then we ended up meeting an executive at Netflix who was really interested in doing a film, but we haven't heard from him, for a while. So Spike decided to stop, pitching, and because he was doing BlacKkKlansman, and he invited me to be one of his assistants on BlacKkKlansman, where I get to learn like a real, how a real Hollywood set looks like. And then by Christmas of 2017, mm-hmm. Once the production's over, he got me to 40 Acres and Stefon, I got you a deal with Netflix.
Wow.
So I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah. So you and Fredrica better start tightening up the script. And we flew back out to a Netflix, and we met, Fredrica and I, really, really awesome two executives there. And they were amazing and great, and they gave amazing notes that actually helped the script to be a lot better. Because our script, at that time, our script was very lean. Very, very lean. It was like only 90 pages. And we wanted to keep it there. But they said you could do a lot more. And it came out to be 110. Yeah. But, and then afterwards, we just, for the next 6 months, we continued to work on the script until it was production time.
Yeah.
You also kept a lot of similarities with the short. They're still sort of tinkering in their garage, and the time travel that takes place in what appears to be the same alleyway, right? There's a lot of similarities. I like the fact you didn't just suddenly try and make it all big budget and lose the charm and sense of place that the short had. Is this something that you would?
No, I wanted to keep that because I knew it's an independent film. I knew, what we were trying to do, but at the same time, I wasn't trying to make it like Back to the Future or Jurassic Park or something like that. Like I don't have the skill set for that yet. So it was like, okay, I wanted to make a movie about, young Black kids in the hood who are much different than we ever seen before. And that takes a personal story, very quiet, very, very controlled and very contained, and tell stories that tell their story in a very specific point of view. Because in my opinion, a good film is very specific, because the very specific and personal you are, the more universal it is.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the cast? You had Ed Duncan Smith and Dante in your short. You always wanted to keep them in the feature?
Oh, we had to fight them. Jesus, at first Netflix didn't want them. We had to fight them. And Spike was like, "No, we ain't having them." And so it was like, it made no sense. It's like, it's understandable because I was a first-time filmmaker. I had a first-time also director of photography for Jacob's first time. We, Netflix didn't want anyone to have first time. You also want names to really bring in the audience. I was like, look, which is understandable, but I was like, this is, but that's not the film I want to make. It's like the audience going to find the film, and they have, thankfully. And we will discuss that a little later. But it's like, if it's nice to have fresh faces, and for the audience to grow with somebody. Dante, Eden and Dante, they're great, and they're best friends in real life. and they did a great job in the short. Why do we have to fix something that's not broken? Did they offer to me like, hey, you want to check out so and so? I was like, nah, I know who I want, and I love them both. Eden is
Camera loves them both too. They
yes,
really
yeah, they were fun to work with. They were very fun to work with, and both of them have helped me develop the script with Fredrica and I in a way. Even on set, it's like, yo, stuff on this doesn't flow right. I don't feel like, this character would do this and whatnot. And I was like, do your thing. What's up? Eden helped us with a lot with the science. She is in Hampton University studying physics, and she has a work study with NASA.
Wow. Okay, so that
brilliant
makes
mind.
a little more sense now, because they were totally convincing. It's like, I totally believed that they would know everything of what it takes to create a time machine out of a backpack. I believed it totally.
Yeah. They was on our asses about it too.
Yeah.
They're thorough.
Yeah. So how long was your shoot then? I mean, Netflix, you obviously win that. You win your fight with Netflix over your cast. How many days do you shoot? What do you shoot on? Can you answer those two first?
Sure. We shot, well, go back a little bit. 4 weeks soft prep, 6 week hard prep, 5 weeks, 25 days of shooting, and 8 to 9 months of post. It's like birthing a child during that post. My God, if you want to test your patience as a director, post production is it.
Some people love that. It's in a one room and like kind of a 9 to 5. Yeah, you're not working all night. Well, you can work all night if you want to, but
now, for me, it was like I'm not complaining. For me, it was my first time experiencing post production because I wasn't able to see what Spike did in Black Klansman. So for post, I see what he did for shooting. So I could, I was there every day, so I already had the muscle, but I didn't have any muscle for post production. So it was like brand new for me. And I heard sometimes post production can go over a year and a half.
Yeah.
So I loved every process of it, and I had an amazing freaking editor, Jennifer Lee. If she helped us rewrite the script in post. There was, she saw so many flaws, even during production, even during when we were shooting. She would call me up and say, yo, you got to get this shot. I think you need to make changes to the script here. The performances need to be believable at this point. So I'm a match for this performance that you already have over here that's not so working. So, during post, we had like at least, how many screen tests, like 6?
So many, yeah, but they were super helpful. Yeah, but there were a lot
extremely helpful.
Mm-hmm.
You were screening in front of audiences?
Yeah, privately. Like we only invited friends and friends of friends that have no idea about the short. That's very important, so it won't be tainted. And also who are not just directors, but other people in the industry or storytellers. Like we invited a lot of comic book artists there for the private screenings. Or comic book writers, other writers, other editors, which is also extremely helpful. And Jennifer, she would be in front of the audience, and she will be monitoring the Q&As and she told me, be in the back and don't talk, shut your mouth. And the first time I slipped in, I started talking and everything, but I could see why, even though hearing the feedback made me cringe a lot and it hurt, she was able to get all the information she needs, so we know what is honest and no one's going to be swayed because the director's in the room. That's very important. She don't want nobody to be swayed because the director's in the room. I had to sit in the back, be quiet, so everyone could be completely honest. If anyone have any frustration, it will all be, on her. And I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, they say you shouldn't really screen for your friends because your friends won't be honest.
Exactly.
I've been in screenings where friends have screened for family, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's wonderful, wonderful," and no one offers any criticism at all.
Not these friends. They will let me know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need all your friends to be about like Spike Lee, who can narrow down and pinpoint the problem and tell you, right?
Exactly. I mean, as funny as the sound is not funny, but because you really need, because steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron. You need people to be brutally honest, no matter how hurtful it is. It might be wrong, but you need brutally honesty just to make sure your work is legit.
Yeah.
A little bit about kind of the mental preparation it takes to go from having made 2 shorts to like, oh my God, I'm shooting this 25-day shoot for Netflix. This is important. I've got to get it right. Like, how do you keep grounded and how do you prepare for that? And are there gaps in your knowledge you need to fill before you step on set that first day?
I was a bit cocky. I'm not gonna lie, because I was like, this is the day. I've been waiting for this shit. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, let's do it. But it's not until I was on set, honestly, maybe the second week, there's a whole bunch of problems that we had. Some was my fault. Half the other was like weather and what have you. What really sometimes stifled me a little bit, maybe sometimes leading up to it on set, and even in post production, when you see the first cut, I feel like jumping off the Brooklyn Bridge. Is that you have astronomical amount of money for your first feature film, was unheard of. So you have executives and you have a whole team and a whole bunch of other people relying on you, because you're supposed to know your vision, and you have to prove yourself.
Yep.
When I was short, I really didn't give a fuck what anybody think. I just want to make sure the story is told correctly and anyone understands what's happening. Do you understand what's happening? As long as you understand, I don't give a damn. I don't give a fuck if you like it or not. Here, I'm like, shit, Ted Sarandos is gonna look at this movie. I really care if he's gonna give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I really care if you're gonna like it or not. And you got because it's like, it's not just the 1 or 2 executives that's working with you. It's other executives at Netflix is gonna watch your film, and you're gonna get notes and you're gonna get feedback. And then you have, and it's just like it was challenging to, filmmaking it's a very humbling experience, and I was extremely humbled by it, because it really took a jab at your ego so many times.
Fredrica, were you on set every day?
I was, which was great. Thanks to Stefon, I was there every day. I was based out here in LA at the time, but then I, flew out. It was over the summer, so I flew out to New York and stayed out there and got the chance to be there every day, which was great as a writer, because we know that's not always our experience. And so I got to learn like so much about just seeing the filming and production and all of that good stuff. So yeah, that was awesome.
Was there any rewrites during production?
There were a couple of times where we had to step in and add a little bit more dialogue for characters. I know the funeral scene, we had to add dialogue for the pastor during the funeral scene. So that was written while on set. And there was a couple other instances, which was also, again, like a good experience for me. I didn't realize that, just going from school to being on set, you don't realize like some of the different ways that you still are constantly rewriting, even, actually writing while on set. So that was a really good muscle for me to kind of work. But
I think there's a lot of change when we reached the cherry pages. I think there was a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe past cherry. Also location. We do location scouts, and a lot of locations made us, change some of the script, especially last minute location changes.
Yeah.
I requested, I needed Fredrica. I couldn't make those changes on my own.
I was excited and glad to be there. Back in the city.
I want to get to some questions in a minute. So people listening in, feel free to type your questions in using the Q&A button at the bottom. Before that, let's get to the sort of release of the film. You were in a very lucky position not to have to take, like this scrappy indie movie you have to take around the festival circuit and hope someone is interested enough to buy it, and you get a bidding war. You had Netflix taking this out into the world from the get-go, so you could. Were you involved in any of that sort of marketing decisions? And
yes, I was. That's why I love working with Netflix. I hope to work with them again. Fredrica, you was in the room.
I went to one of the marketing meetings.
Yeah.
With you, yeah.
They allowed us to pick. I won't say pick, but they allowed us to give meaningful consultation to the poster. I let them have it. Like there was some trash posters. I'm not gonna lie to you. I let them have it. But the poster there was some really amazing posters as well.
Yeah.
They invited us to the marketing meeting. They actually let us know, because one of my biggest concerns was make sure that the hood knows about this film. I want to make sure that young Black teens know about this movie. And it's like how you prepare, plan for that. And they let me know. Most of the social media, I said, look, we got to get Black journalists on this. Huffman Post, The Root, OK Play, OK Africa. Like I wanted all that, and they made sure they're included. Community screenings as well. I flew out to LA and to Atlanta for the community screenings, and those screenings I'm hearing kids say, yo, that's my uncle, yo, that's my block, that's how we talk, you know what I'm saying? And that brought joy to my heart, and I'm going to make sure that happened. But the biggest surprising thing about the marketing meeting, like, I almost floored. They showed that our movie was gonna be showcased on billboards. Oh yeah. 2 in LA.
Yeah.
And 1 in motherfucking Times Square.
That was crazy.
Yo, that was like.
That was crazy.
Yo, like if I die tomorrow, I'll be happy. I'll be happy. Like just that alone, like.
You made it to Times Square already.
Yeah.
Whose decision was it to sort of release the film, give it a Tribeca sort of premiere?
I pushed for it. It was my decision. I pushed for them. I said, look, because I'm very competitive. I want to make sure that people know about the film as much as possible. We got some good reviews. And so I said, let's do it at Tribeca, because we know critics are going to be there. So I pushed for them, and, we sent it late in the game to Tribeca. But they, thankfully, they loved the film. And I got my, Fredrica and I, we got our family out there on the red carpet, stunting.
Yeah.
And our moms was there. It was fun. But it was very important for Tribeca, because, we want to make sure that was a great marketing tool for the film, and to get the word out there as much as possible. Like, this movie is going to come up. And I was, doing my end on social media and the emails. I made sure I think everyone made sure that there was a line down the block.
Yeah, the screenings went really well. Really well.
Did Netflix change the release date to coincide with Tribeca and have it come out right after the festival?
Honestly, I cannot remember. Honestly. I think it took a while for them to get the release date, because it was waiting for Tribeca.
Right.
Once we had Tribeca, then
it dropped 2 weeks after the Tribeca screen.
Yes, it dropped 2 weeks. Yeah, because I wanted to let's create anticipation. Let's get the word out there. Let's create anticipation. And once it dropped, people will like, oh, I keep hearing about this film. Finally, it's on. Let's go. So that's just strategically that we strategically did that.
So I have a question for the sort of audience response and reaction. Like, once something is on Netflix and it doesn't go to theaters, you don't see people in line. You can't read the box office takings every weekend. You don't know what your theater average is. it's on Netflix. It's probably being seen by a lot of people. But how do you gauge the response as a filmmaker and to see how people are reacting to your work? What do you like reading tweets? How do you do it?
Go ahead, Fredrica.
So I'm not big on social media, but that is how I would gauge the response, and Stefon would gauge the response on social media as well. I would tell him not to read everything that everybody.
I almost cuss people out.
But Stefon insisted on reading everything. Then he would call me, be like, "This is what so and so said." I'm like, "Well, who is so and so?" Oh no, but that's what they said. I'm like, "Why are you reading all of this?" So, but that was a good way to engage. Like, I didn't read every tweet on purpose, but what I was able to get from that was that people were seeing the movie, and it was starting conversations. Especially with the ending. The ending seemed to spark a lot of conversation. So that's how I kind of gauged to me that it was doing well. Because I was like, people are talking about it. But I wasn't reading every tweet like Stefon. And I told him not to do that. But he doesn't listen to me. So
very dangerous.
I get all these calls every other minute. Did you see that? No, I did not, because I'm not reading all of that.
I cuss people out. I had to delete the tweets. I was a mess. Because people, that's why I'm like, next film, I promise myself I'm going to get off social media. I'm off social media right now. I don't have no Facebook or Instagram. I still have Twitter, but it's private. I only go there to check about updates on coronavirus. But, people be out of pocket saying, oh, these writers are lazy. Oh, they don't know how to complete a movie. What the fuck was up with the ending? I was like, oh my Lord, yo. So I had a whole bunch of battles about just the ending. Like, I woke up 6 o'clock that day when it released. 6 o'clock a.m. Let me see if anybody watched it. Yo, that ending was jacked up. What the fuck is wrong with the ending? Yo, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. So the first day, I'm not gonna lie to you, the first day, I was a little upset. I was just going around. It's supposed to be a happy day, right? That's any filmmaker. You're supposed to be happy. But I was pissed off. But it was a learning lesson, and forces me to own up to what the message is for the film. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody knew. I know, Fredrica know, Spike, Netflix, my editor. We all have fights about the ending, but we all understood what it was about, and I pitched for that vision, and I'm going to stick to it. And
yeah, not everyone will get it. I come out of movies with friends, and people didn't get the ending, and you have to explain it to them. And they're like, oh right, yeah. Look, first thing they do now is get on social media and tweet about it. I noticed a lot of videos on YouTube explaining the ending. It's like for those people, right?
Yes, there are. There's one video said, this movie doesn't have an ending. There's no third act. I was like, and I almost cussed him out. I said, you're mistaken, sir. But there's other videos that actually, talked about this is what the ending means. This is what the filmmaker's probably going for. And I was like, that's it. Because the whole idea for the ending of the film was to spark conversation. That's one. And for those who said I didn't have closure, that's the whole point. Trayvon's mother didn't have closure. The wife of Eric Garner didn't have closure.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The girlfriend of Philando Castile, she don't have any closure. That's one of the reasons why I ended that way.
And he could be doing this a lot more times for all we know. Right? It's not going to end 10 minutes after your film ended. It could go on for a long time.
Exactly. And there's other, and I don't want to drag this out, but there's other reasons too.
Just before we go to questions, want to say a little bit about the Spirit Awards. You got 2 nominations for Best First Feature, Best First Screenplay. How was your experience there? You won Best First Screenplay. What was the Spirit Awards say?
It was amazing, right? Like, it was, sometimes I still have to pinch myself because timing was everything. So I remember I flew, my mom came out because I live here in LA, so she flew out, and we weren't hearing that much about the coronavirus and all that other stuff. And sometimes with everything that's happened now, I forget that was, almost feels like 2020 has been going on forever. I forget that that award ceremony happened. This is all in the same year, only a matter of months ago. because so much craziness has happened since then. But and I'm stuck over here in LA, and my mom is in Maryland. But one of the things that her and I often talk about was how we at least had the opportunity to have that special moment together at the awards with her as my plus one, and, you know, doing everything with her and hanging out with Stefon and his mom and having her at the dinner, and Spike was there, and just being able to have that fun time together. It was just amazing. And, you know, the shock of when they called our name and going up there, which I don't remember I don't remember even walking up there or how that part happened. I don't remember what I said. I was freaking out because I was like, oh, I was supposed to write something, and I left it at the hotel, and I was like, I guess I'll wing it. And I was like, well, I don't know how that's going to go. You know, it was just a lot, but I'm glad I didn't remember any of it. I'm glad I didn't stare too hard into the audience, because after I got off, I was like, oh my God, I think Jennifer Lopez was out there. What if I made eye contact with her? And I was like, thank God I didn't see any faces but my mother and Spike. Those are the only faces I saw. So I was like, okay, good. Because that might have tripped me up. If I would have looked out there and be like, oh my God, there's Octavia Spencer, and she's looking at me, you know? So, but that was awesome. It was so great to have that moment. We were so like humbled and grateful, and, you know, I couldn't have asked for anything more than to be up there, and to be up there with Stefon, who, you know, has invited me on this great, great journey. Like, it was awesome. So
I just, when they called your name, that whole See You Yesterday table just went. Woo!
I was not, you know, to be honest with you, me personally, I can't speak for anyone else. I was expecting not to win. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, you know, everyone is going to, you know, get the awards. I was just there for my mom, brought my mom just to have her son go through, this prestigious event. You know, and I want my mom to experience that. You know, she's, you know, I think both our parents come from humble beginnings. It's like, you know, we're not used to something like this. I'm not used to something like this. You know, walking a red carpet was blue, but we still call it red. Walking the red carpet, being around so many celebrities, it was like, you know, that's something we see on TV once a year, and that's the Oscars. That's it. So I was there sitting down, getting in my wine. Spike looked at me in joy. I said, you're damn right I will be enjoying this. And I was planning to get drunk. And once they were saying the names of the nominees, I was drinking. And I was like half gulp when they announced that we won. I almost choked on myself. And I can't remember anything else. I blacked out after that.
We better get used to like hanging out on the red carpet, and it's not going to be your first time. It's not going to be your last time. I mean, like
your lips to God's ears.
Yeah,
I'm doing this because I love the work.
Yeah. So got some questions here. Wendy says, "Hi, I really like the movie. The script was tight, but where I think you really excelled was in casting. Every role, large and small, was cast well. I loved the characters and didn't want the story to end. How did you approach casting?" Question about your casting director, and how long was the casting process?
The casting process, the way I approach casting is I just had to make sure that that whoever we cast is authentic for the character. Not that I'm trying to pigeonhole someone in it, but I just want to make sure that they're authentic for that character, that I believe them. For example, we'll be casting the hardest outside of Eden and Dante's roles. The other hardest was the brother Astro, and then the mother, who was played by Marsha Stephanie Blake. Great actress, great freaking actress. Like, you know, I hope to work with her again. You know, there were folks. I needed people who exudes Brooklyn to the T. Someone that has a little edge on them, but they're sweethearts in the same way. You know what I'm saying? If you just, like, to be from Brooklyn, there's a certain vibrato, a certain way you walk, a certain way you talk, and I need somebody authentically like that. So my casting directors, they did a good job bringing me people, but I brought in, when Stro came in, I knew he was it, hands down. And Marsha, her role, like, you know, Netflix wanted, you know, somebody, you know, who's more famous for that role so to help sell the film. Once again, understandable. She came in and and she knew the material right away, and she was just perfect for it.
Someone else had a question about how Michael J. Fox got attached.
Oh, that's a good question.
Nice little nod there to one of your
that was a happy accident as well, because we was gunning for. We know we had a cameo role. We just didn't know who's going to play it. But I said, you know what? Get my man Neil deGrasse Tyson on this.
Ooh.
But unfortunately, he was unavailable. So it was like, okay, who else? So I was making a list. I had Christopher Lloyd, and then obviously Bill Nye the Science Guy. Then one of my Jason Sokoloff, my executive producer, he was line producing the film. He said, "Why not? We just go for Michael J. Fox." I was like, "Can we get him? Like, that's a legend. Like, I don't know. You know, we'll see." So we all, you know, I start writing a letter. Everyone helped pitch in to make sure that the letter is tight. And essentially, in that letter, I said, you know, Mr. Fox, if you do this film, your presence in the film will help sell the message of the movie that we're trying to say, you know, and also you playing a teacher will help sell the message that, you know, for these, you know, really top schools in NYC, they need to pay more attention of bringing in young black and brown kids. And, you know, he came on set. At first, we couldn't get him on set because there was an accident, so we had to reschedule. So when he came on set, ready to go, rock star, superstar. And, you know, I'll pinch myself so many times. Like, there was a time I forgot to say action because I was so giddy, like it was Michael J. Fox. And during between setups, I said, what do you think of the script? Mr. Fox told me, I didn't read the script. I just did it off your letter.
Wow.
It's a good letter. It was a touching, moving, good letter.
It took all of us.
How long was a letter to Michael J. Fox?
It was just 1 page letter.
Okay.
You know, we had to change the font to make it fit though. You know, New Romans times 10.
Malia has a question for you both. What advice would you give to up-and-coming, no deal, no representation filmmakers of color who are committed to telling our narratives?
Well, I mean, I think the best advice that I could give is to, you know, tell your story. I would say, you know, don't worry about necessarily what you think, where the market is going, or trying to anticipate the market, or trying to just focus so much on that. But I think focusing more on telling the stories that you tell the best, that are specific to you and your experience, that are authentic to you, that touch you, that moves you, and telling those in a very concise and you know, tight, thorough way will be the things that will get you the notoriety that you need to attract the attention of a manager or an agent, or, you know, things like that. I think I used to hear this all the time, especially at school. They would say, "Oh, they'll find you," and I kind of didn't quite get it. But that is sort of how it happens. Once you start, you know, doing good work and you have like a lot of good samples, have lots of samples. If you're a writer, director, whatever it is, have plenty of samples. But once you start doing that and you have really quality samples, they will find you. And what they'll do is ask to read or see whatever it is you've done. And it may not be that first sample. So I know with my manager, I sent him maybe 6 or 7 features that I had focused on while at school. And it was the last one that made him say, "Oh, yeah, let's work together." So I would just say, be really prepared, work on your craft, and have a lot of samples, and just kind of focus on that. And then you will eventually get the attention that you're looking for. And that way your preparation will be there to meet the opportunity when it comes.
Stefon?
Same thing with Fredrica said. You know, we need, for young people of color, we need honest, personal, original stories. You know, don't try to figure out what the network wants. Don't try to figure out what the studio wants. It has to be absolutely personal and new and refreshing, because you got to remember, Black people are not a monolithic group.
Mm-hmm.
We're not a monolithic group. We got Black Jamaicans. We got American Black people from Florida. We got Afro-Brazilians. So if you have something that's very specific and culturally honest, it's going to be very universal. Believe you me. And if anybody want to challenge you on, why you need to do this film or can you brought it, fuck them. You need to tell your personal story. Make sure your stuff is personal. Excuse my language. I know I cuss a lot today, but I have to be honest because I want people to be successful.
But I also remember reading that you were saying that you kind of found your voice when you realized that the movies that you loved growing up on were kind of the genre you should be working in. Like you
Yes.
left sort of science fiction, action stuff.
Yeah.
I tried to tell more social stories.
I want to mesh them together.
Yeah.
I hope people find that I See Yesterdays like that. I am influenced by two filmmakers, Spike Lee and Steven Spielberg. I love Jurassic Park and I love Do the Right Thing. How can I mesh those kind of tones together and also bring my own personal experience as, a person from an immigrant family? How can I do something like that? And so it's a lot of trial and error, but I found my voice in by doing the short film. It's like this is it. I've always been discouraged from doing all that action stuff and do more artsy fartsy independent film. And I'm not knocking it, not knocking it at all. But it wasn't my voice. It wasn't for me. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I had to say, fuck it. I'm going to do what my mind sees, and work my ass off to make sure that it, that's a concept, the writing, it's a lot of trial and error. I had to make sure every step of the way, if you understand what's happening, I don't give a damn if you like it or not.
Last question here from Mido says, do you think development would have turned out differently if the film had been a straight up personal drama rather than a film that expresses those layers through a genre? I guess he means without the time travel aspect to it.
We're tired of seeing our films. We already have a lot of police brutality films, a lot of, in the hood violence. We already have, it's called Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, Strap, Fresh. What else?
And those are all amazing movies.
No, not knocking them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to make that again. Those movies already been made. You know what I'm saying? I'm not knocking them. Like, Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society, man, R.I.P. John Singleton. But I need to find my voice. I need to do something a little different.
So we're almost out of time. We usually end these Q&As with a question for everyone. What are you watching? Can you recommend, like, what the makers of See You Yesterday? What would you say people should be watching while they're stuck in at home? It can be an old classic, a hidden gem, something new. Just feel to dig deep as you like. Maybe favorite time travel movies. By the way, I have a bone to pick you, Stefon.
Uh-oh. Go ahead, Fredrica.
Okay.
Let's see. I recently binged Queen Sono on Netflix, which I really, really liked. About a South African, basically, spy. And it's a series, and it's about her, being a badass Black woman who's a spy. So I actually really enjoyed that. I recently finished Black AF. Enjoyed that. What else? And then I recently, just yesterday, I watched the sci-fi movie. I think it's called 3022 with Omar Epps. That's on Netflix. And that was pretty good as well. I enjoyed that. And I'm just like, I think those are the main things. I caught up on some things that I just totally missed, like Mad Men. I had totally missed that boat, and just catching up on some of those old classics. Did you miss that boat too?
Yeah, never got around to it.
Oh,
You should, once you start, it'll just consume you.
That and The Wire, I haven't yet to see.
I missed the Wire boat as well. I'm going to get on that at some point. But yeah, so that, and I also started watching Once Upon a Time, which I really like, you know, who knew? But yeah, so those are the things that I've done thus far. We'll see.
And of course, you're writing a lot, right?
You know, I am trying, but I'm also trying to be kind to myself and the fact that I have to, you know, I feel like I have a lot to do, but I have to remind myself that I'm not at home because there's a retreat. You know, I'm at home because there's a pandemic. There's some anxiety for me around that. You know, my mom is in Maryland. She's still working, which is concerning for me. I'm, you know, quarantined alone. So I'm trying to write, but then I'm also making sure that I remember not to put too much pressure on myself, because for me, the priority right now is my mental health. And if that aligns with writing, then I'm going to write. And when it doesn't align with writing, then I'm not going to, because I have to just, you know, I have to get through this. And then I have to, you know, figure out what's next. And, you know, how do I get to my mom, most importantly. So, yeah.
Stefon, any picks from you?
Oh man, I've been trying to catch up on the classics. You know, I've been watching A Face in the Crowd.
Oh,
Beautiful film.
Yeah.
Sweet Smell of Success.
No, I haven't seen.
It's one of my favorites. So because I'm working on another film right now. I just closed a deal on another film. I'm you know, watching films that help pertain to that film. And that film that helps me a lot right now is The Battle of Algiers.
Oh, that's a yeah.
Good movie. Good
Yeah.
movie.
You can't tell if it's a drama or a documentary. It just treads that line so well.
Yeah, it does, and it's very honest because it shows the wrong of both sides, and you know, it just reminds you, like, you know, colonialism wasn't that long ago.
Mm.
Yeah,
it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. The bone I wanted to pick with you is I read your bio, and you said two of your favorite movies are Jurassic Park and Back to the Future. Don't judge. Those are fantastic movies. Those are like, everyone should aspire to make like big crowd pleasing popcorn movies like that. They're not. I wouldn't be embarrassed to love those at all.
I'm not embarrassed. When I say don't judge,
but
it's like, don't judge me on this stuff. I'm not embarrassed by it. I just know, I guess a lot of, you know, filmmakers and other people who don't understand like we are, because we know where we came from. But there's a lot of people that when I say that, it's like, really? You like that? You like those? I'm like, have you not seen Jurassic Park? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I just meet a lot of people. You'd be surprised. I mean, a lot of people that's not into it. So I put up there as a safety. Like, look, I will cut you if you make fun of my loves.
Oh my gosh. He's so extreme.
I had one more question about the short. Is it anywhere that people could see it? Streaming anywhere?
Good question. No, it's not. Currently not. No.
Okay.
It finished on HBO back just past February. So I'm not sure.
Again later. Maybe.
I don't know. I haven't, you know, because I'm so busy with everything. That's a good question. I haven't really shopped it around, or, you know, because I know, you know, it would be nice to get it out there. I don't know. It's not my priority right now, but, you know, I could be more than happy to share the link if anybody wants it. But let me figure that out.
Okay, if anyone is interested, they can email education@filmindependent.org, and we'll forward that email to you. What are you working on now? Malia asks that as a final question. Can you
Go ahead,
us?
Fredrica.
That's when he smiles like that. He wants me to go. So Stefon and I, we're working on our next idea. We're trying to hash that out and break that out. And then we sort of have another thing that we're working on that's, you know, sort of moving along. So we have two things that we've kind of working on together, and they're both features, but I don't think I can go into detail on either one. But so
Okay,
doing that.
You're giving us so much.
I can.
You said you
I
can't?
can't. I
Okay.
can't.
Go ahead.
Because I'm not going to give much details to it, because, you know, The idea that Fredrica and I are personally working on is an alien invasion movie in the veins of African history and mythology.
Okay.
Very broad, so we can't tell you much. But but at least to tell you something that hopefully it sparks your interest. And the other film that we're working on, and Fredrica came in to help with the writing, is really strong rewrite. Is a Black Indiana Jones film set in Ethiopia in 1928.
Wow.
And we're right now we took that out to some studios and hopefully hear back from people. Netflix.
There is definitely a theme going on here, and it is like, I have never seen this movie before, and I've never seen a movie like See You Yesterday before, like meshing those two, like the social and the sci-fi genre together, and these other two ideas. Oh, can't wait to see them.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you, Fredrica, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us.
Stefon, yeah, thank you so much.
It means a lot.
Yeah.
So I hope you both stay safe, healthy, and sane, and come back to talk to us very soon about your next project when it's out there in the world.
We will. You guys too. Everyone be safe.
It will be a couple of years.
Okay. We'll wait. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Take care.